What's that one? Recording.
All right. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Wonderful, wonderful,
Good.
wonderful, wonderful. Everyone that's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, we want to invite you to join us um, on the Zoom platform, and we want to encourage you to share the post. So everybody that's watching us on the Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter platform, you can at the top of the comments, you'll see pinned up there a way to join us on the Zoom platform if you want to participate in the verbal discussion. And if you're going to remain on those platforms, we ask that you share the post. I'm going to place it in the hands of our one of our co-coordinators of our mental health ministry, Sister Roxalina Rawls. Roxalina, it's all on you.
Okay. First, giving honor to God. Good evening, everyone. My name is Roxalina Rawls. Welcome
Good
to our
evening.
first monthly mental health presentation and conversation of the new year. Special thanks to our pastor, Pastor Rawls, for this wonderful platform and the opportunity to provide information on topics that are relevant and may help to improve the mental well-being for ourselves as well as for our family members. And Katrina, are you on? I guess she isn't.
Yes,
I was going to
yes, she's on.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, jump in whenever you get ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How well do you sleep? That's our topic for this evening. How well do you sleep? And Pastor, could I have the second slide? When was the last time that you had a good night's rest or consistent rest? There may have been a time when you tossed and turned most of the night thinking about the tasks that you did not complete on your to-do list that day or the day before. Or maybe you had some concerns or worries about some of your loved ones or maybe a friend who was being challenged by a health concern or a family concern or whatever. What about some of those financial challenges, which I could pretty much relate to, where I had several years ago? I had more month than I had money. And I tossed and turned because I didn't know how I was going to meet my financial obligations. And what about maybe an individual that is caring for a young child or a grandchild, or maybe an elderly parent? And you have to get up several times during the night to keep checking on them, and you've lost most of your sleep. And what about the individuals that are in the military or have served in the military and how they are trained? I know my husband, who served in the Vietnam War, my goodness, he has remained so vigilant while he's sleeping. He can listen and hear a cat walking across our lawn 2:00 in the morning. He'll say, honey, what is that? And I'm like, what? So there could be one or a multitude of reasons keeping an individual from consistently getting the needed rest for their body. According to my research, there are 40 million people in the United States are believed to suffer sleep issues. And these are just the cases that have been reported. There may be many more. So this evening, I would like to share with you some of the reasons that may cause lack of consistent sleep during the night and how to manage and promote sleep hygiene for a good night's rest and overall mental and physical well-being. So I'm going to start with sleep deprivation. And Pastor, could you just go to the next slide? And I have a short video, and the video is entitled, "Are You Sleep Deprived?" And this is taken from the Sleep Foundation. And Pastor, if you can run that, I would appreciate it.
Get in your car, start driving, zone out a little bit, and all of a sudden, for a brief second, you fall asleep. That's called drowsy driving, and research shows it can almost be as dangerous as driving drunk. So, how can you tell when you're sleep deprived? Hey everyone, I'm Faith. To know if you're sleep deprived, it's important to understand what we mean by that term. Usually, the definition means getting less than 6 to 7 hours of sleep at night. Now, that could mean, for example, going to bed at midnight and waking up at 5 a.m. But it could also mean that you spent 9 hours in bed but just got really disrupted or fragmented sleep. There are two types of clinical sleep deprivation. Acute sleep deprivation refers to a short period, usually a few days or less, when a person has a significant reduction in their sleep time. Chronic sleep deprivation, also known as insufficient sleep syndrome, is defined by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine as curtailed sleep that persists for 3 months or longer. But whether you've experienced a short-term bout of sleep deprivation or whether it's something more chronic, a lack of sleep can really take a toll. Sleep deprivation really hits home during the day, and that's where the signs and symptoms can really show themselves. Physically, feeling extremely tired during the day is one of the hallmark signs of sleep deprivation. People with excessive daytime sleepiness may feel drowsy and have a hard time staying awake even when they need to. In some cases, this results in microsleeps in which a person dozes off for a matter of seconds. And it goes without saying, but you probably also suffer from ongoing fatigue and a real lack of motivation. Speaking of motivation, the mental effects of sleep deprivation are even more serious. A lack of sleep is kind of like a dense fog settling over everything. You lack... Wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, focus. Sleep deprivation can also cause slowed thinking, reduced attention span, worsened memory, poor or risky decision-making, lack of energy, and mood changes including feelings of stress, anxiety, and irritability. And let's just say you're also not rocking the best mood. Nor are you in a position to make smart or rational decisions. So, okay, the symptoms of sleep deprivation aren't great. We've all probably experienced these effects at one time or another. I mean, a bad night of sleep just happens sometimes. When it's just a night or two, our bodies can recover and repair and catch up in the following nights. But when you are deprived of sleep over more than a few days, those effects begin to compound and really take a toll. Sleep plays a significant role in almost every system of the body, and insufficient sleep increases risks in all of these systems. Multiple studies have shown chronic sleep deprivation puts you at a higher risk for things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and hormone and immune system imbalances. Sleep-deprived people are also at a higher risk of developing pain or feeling that their pain is getting worse. Pain may cause further sleep interruptions, creating a negative cycle of worsening pain and sleep. Given these important impacts of sleep deprivation, it comes as no surprise that studies have found insufficient sleep to be tied with a greater overall risk of death. On a society-wide level, the impacts of sleep deprivation are enormous. Sleep deprivation has been calculated to incur hundreds of billions in added healthcare costs and productivity losses per year in the United States alone. In addition, the CDC estimates that as many as 6,000 deaths each year are caused by drowsy driving. To avoid these problems, it's important to avoid sleep deprivation. Understanding this condition, including its causes, symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment, can put you in a better position to ensure that you're getting the sleep you need. Thanks for watching. Sleep well.
Okie dokie. All right. That's a lot of information. I thought that I would go back and just go over and review some of the things that were brought up in the video. And please jump in with questions or things that you would like to share with our group that you feel may be helpful, or maybe some of your experiences that you have had. So definitions: acute sleep deprivation, which is less than 6 to 7 hours, a short period, usually a few days or less, when a person has significant reduction in their sleep time. Chronic sleep deprivation, also known as insufficient sleep syndrome, as curtailed sleep that persists for 3 months or longer. And then you have your chronic sleep deficiency or insufficient sleep can describe ongoing sleep deprivation as well, or poor sleep that occurs because of sleep fragmentation or in other interruptions. I know for myself, and I should just talk about an experience that I had. I know when I had my daughter, my goodness, that was a very difficult time for me because every 4 hours I was up nursing her, and I went through a thing. I did not get enough sleep. I was tired, I was irritable, but I know that this little one needed the nourishment. So I had no choice but to continue. But it only lasted for a short period of time. So I was able to get through it and get the sleep that I needed for my own personal health. Anything that anybody would like to share regarding acute or chronic sleep deprivation?
Yes, I'd like to say something. So, I know at least, like I was watching the video and they talk about 6,000 people a year that die at the wheel of a car. So at least 2 people who have fallen asleep driving and passed away because of it. So it's definitely a very dangerous thing. If you're not able to focus in situations like that, if you're sitting in the house, you're falling asleep, it's not as bad, but definitely very dangerous when you're driving or operating heavy machinery or something like that.
I totally agree. And that's a good point, Katrina. Not only dangerous for the person, but also, especially if you're driving, what about other people that are on the road? You're putting other people's lives in danger as well. So people should think about that. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So in terms of, and if we could go to the next slide, mental and physical effects due to sleep deprivation. Mental, slow thinking, that you can't really get your thoughts together because you're so tired and your focus is on something else. You just cannot think straight. Reduced attention span, where you may, and I'll use as an example, you have a project to complete on the job and you're just going from one to another, and you're not really completing the task that's assigned to you. You just can't keep you have reduced attention span. Worn memory, where you cannot think or you cannot recall. Well, I can't think of that. I can't think of that person's name, or I can't think of what I need to do next. You're in a fog. Your memory is not as clear as it normally is. Risky decisions, that you may have some decisions to make before you, whether personal decisions or business decisions or decisions on your job. And you go ahead and make these decisions, but without having a clear mind. So to do that, it's risky. Lack of energy, that you're not able to feel upbeat, that you're tired. You may be up most of the time, but you feel like, oh my gosh, if I could just go lay down somewhere, I don't have enough energy for my day or the things that I need to do for my family or whatever the tasks are ahead. So in terms of your mental ability, sleep deprivation can have a major effect on your mental ability. Any comments? Okay. Physical and chronic, where over a long period of time, it can have a major effect on your heart, cardiovascular disease, where lack of sleep can cause you to have heart problems. If you don't get your proper rest, your body cannot function properly. Diabetes, it could cause other things to affect your body and your health in terms of having diabetes. Obesity, in terms of your weight, maybe as a result of not being able to get the regular sleep, that maybe you may be overeating or eating some things that maybe are not good for your system and cause you to gain weight. Hormone and immune system imbalance. That can also affect, the sleep can also affect those particular areas of your body. Any comments or anything that anybody would like to share at this time? Okay, next slide, Pastor. Mental and physical effects due to sleep deprivation. Mood changes. You can be stressed to the max because you're so tired and you're trying to do things and your body will not cooperate with you. And as a result of that, you accumulate a lot of stress, and which is followed by, and you get very anxious, anxiety. Oh, I need to complete this, but I can't. Oh, I feel anxious. I don't know what I'm going to do. And which could also add to your irritability, being very irritable and very touchy. And so in terms of someone saying something to you and you may take it the wrong way or go off on them. And the last one, not being in the best mood, that you're just solemn and just down and just, you just don't want to be bothered with nobody at all. So I'm just going to open it up for questions or discussion at this time before we go on to the next area, which is insomnia. Any questions?
I think I'm probably getting more sleep now, but what really messes me up is the time change. When they change the times and then it's dark outside and then it's not dark, and just trying to get used to the hour forward, the hour backwards is really what like messes me up. And so, like you said, you get irritable, you don't want to be bothered. But I force myself, even though I'm not asleep, to stay in the bed until it's time to get up when I do wake up in the middle of the night. But yes, I can definitely agree with these mental, physical, and mood things that are get in the way when you have sleep deprivation.
That's a very good point, Katrina. And later on in the presentation, I'm going to touch on that as we get into what we call the sleep hygiene. So good point. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I guess it just adds another thing to the list. When we try to do things to where it takes, multiple people to come together on the same page to get things accomplished. Sometimes it's difficult, and then as believers, we have to try to take into consideration. There may be other things that people are going through. They might just not be a donkey; they just might be going through something, and so I think this just kind of adds to the list. You don't know what people are going through. When they're irritable and they're hard to get along with and things like that. They might just not be a difficult person, but they might be going through some issues in their life. And one issue is what we're talking about now, sleep deprivation.
Good point. Good point. Good point. And you never know where the person's at. You just don't know unless they express that to you. You just do not. So no. So we have to just be patient and be considerate of others. Okay, let's move on to insomnia. The next slide. And I have a short video just to give you some highlight in terms of insomnia.
We all go through times where we can't sleep. Most of the time, these sleepless nights might last a few days or weeks. Then the problem goes away on its own. When these sleep problems continue, it's considered chronic insomnia.
Chronic insomnia are people that have sleep problems for a month or longer, and certainly the people we see often have insomnia for a lot longer than a month, maybe months or years or decades.
Insomnia can make it difficult to fall asleep. It can also make you wake up too early. You might even have trouble staying asleep throughout the night. Poor quality sleep can also be insomnia. This sleep loss can impact nearly every aspect of your life.
People are sleep deprived, they can have all sorts of, difficulty functioning or getting to work or making errors in their job. So those are all big things. But also, from a medical side, it can exacerbate their other medical problems.
Daytime sleepiness is one of the main symptoms of insomnia. Other common symptoms include moodiness, attention problems, and lack of energy or motivation. Many people with insomnia have frequent headaches and stomach aches. Frustration or worry about your sleep is one common symptom that can perpetuate insomnia. A board-certified sleep medicine physician is trained to help you overcome your insomnia. The physician will work with you to eliminate any thoughts or behaviors that prevent you from falling asleep.
Look at improving their sleep habits, number one. Number two, you look at their sleep-wake patterns and try to improve those things. And then you also will look at some other cognitive behavioral strategies. And then you'd also look at pharmacologic interventions you may do along with looking at the other things.
If you have chronic insomnia, a board-certified sleep medicine physician can help. Find one today at an AASM accredited sleep center near you.
Thank you, Pastor. Our next slide, and I just want to go over the definition of insomnia. Insomnia is a common sleep disorder, trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or getting good quality sleep. And that's according to our DSM. That's our diagnostic handbook that we use for mental health. At least 1 in 3 people in the United States report difficulty sleeping at least one night per week. The cause and effect: approximately 50% of the insomnia cases are related to depression, anxiety, or psychological stress. And the 3 types are transient, less than 1 month, short-term, between 1 and 6 months, and chronic, more than 6 months. And I just wanted to give you an example of, I was talking with an individual who suffered with insomnia, and she's now an adult. And she said what she did was she used that to her advantage. When she was in college, she said she wasn't able to sleep at night. So what she would do is she would get up, and the hours that she could not sleep, that's when she did her assignments. So she found a way to adapt to that. But she also told me, as an adult, what she did was she was up for a long period of time and she was not able to sleep at all. So she took some over-the-counter medication. And she said, I did the wrong thing because I slept for 15 hours. And then when I got up, she said, I felt like a zombie. So she said, that taught me a lesson to not take medication over the counter because it's not for everyone. She said what she eventually did, she went to the doctor and she got something specifically prescribed for her. And she was able to get a good night's rest as a result of that. I would just like to ask this question. Does anybody know what's the difference between sleep deprivation and insomnia? Pastor, you can go to the next slide if anyone's not able to answer that question. Does anyone know?
Yeah, could you ask that again? Because I think I want to make sure for our answer, I heard it right.
Okay. What's the difference between sleep deprivation and insomnia?
I don't know, because I was going to say something on that, but I have sleep apnea. So where I got identified with that is because of the cutting off, sleeping too hard and cutting off when you're down in a deep snore, and you, for that split second, you could stay there. And what sleep apnea, I got a CPAP machine, and what it does, it supplies that air that I could cut off. And that's what I was thinking with that. But I didn't see these three definitions. But I do have one type of sleep disorder, and that's sleep apnea.
Yeah, and that is and has that been for most of your life, or was it just
No,
asking, if you don't mind sharing?
It started when I used to drink pretty good, and you know, when you just get that real good sleep and you're snoring, I'm talking about shaking doors snoring, I'm talking about, and I would cut off in between that, and it would scare my wife because I would be snoring so hard I start coughing. And so I went to the VA, and then they did a sleep study on me and found out that, you know, I passed. Matter of fact, it's supposed to be an all-night thing. I think I was in the study for 15 minutes. They told me I could turn my machine off and just, you know, not the study, but I passed. You know, I flunked right then. You know, not flunked, but I was identified right quick that I had it. A lot of people snoring, they're thinking that it's just that, but you got to be careful with that, because when you snoring real hard, you can cut off in that snow and get stuck up there with no air. So that's where I was, but I didn't have it all my life. It just came. And now I very seldom put my machine on, but when I do, I notice the next day that I feel a lot more, I don't know the words, but I breathe a lot more. I feel more lighter in the head and everything, because I got the right oxygen. So I don't use it as much, but yes, that's how I started out with that.
Thank you for sharing that. And you're right, that's another sleep challenge for people. It can be a sleep challenge for individuals. The difference between sleep deprivation and insomnia is an individual who does not, with sleep deprivation, an individual does not have allocated for sleep as a result of their behavior choices, everyday obligations. So you don't have how can I say this? It's up to you to control how much sleep that you have, and to, if at all possible, to limit some of your obligations if you can. It's how you use your time in terms of getting your proper rest. Whereas insomnia is an individual that has trouble in sleeping, even when they have plenty of time. It's like, I'm going to get in bed and I'm going to get a good night's sleep, but they toss and turn and continue to look at the ceiling, that they're just not able to sleep at all. So that's the difference between sleep deprivation and insomnia. And I just
Roxy, can I add something? This is Dale. How are you?
Good. How are you?
With the sleep deprivation, it could be also caused by current life issues, such as depression. Depression sometimes causes you to sleep too much. It also causes you not to sleep because you had a loss and you're worried about that. Or you just had a new baby and you know you do not sleep for months and months with a new individual whose sleeping pattern is totally off. Or you are unfortunately a substance abuser who uses stimulants and that causes you to not sleep for days at a time. And like you said, insomnia is generally caused when you're attempting to sleep and you have not done any of these other things I just mentioned, or you don't have that racy mind or any other mental health issues going on. You just can't get in bed and sleep for 7 or 8 to 10 hours.
Right, exactly, exactly. So there is a difference. There is a difference. There's another thing too that I learned during my research. Sometimes too, and I'll just say, as women may be going through the change, so to speak, where you have an hormone imbalance, and sometimes that can cause you to have sleep deprivation, that you're used to a certain sleep pattern, but because of that imbalance in your hormones, it may throw that off, and you may not be able to sleep like you regularly would sleep during a normal night. So there's another one that something else I just wanted to bring in, and it's not on the screen. It's called I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the circadian rhythm. And in terms of, have you ever heard people say, I'm working and I get up a certain time every morning, maybe to go to my job. And, but I notice on the weekends, I still get up at that same time, and I don't even have to have an alarm clock or anything like that. And that's what they call circadian rhythm, that your body gets into a certain rhythm in terms of waking up and going to sleep. And you the body regulates itself, and you maintain a regular bedtime schedule and a wake time schedule. So, and that's what it's built in. It's called the circadian rhythm that we have within our own bodies. So I just wanted to bring that in, or bring that into play as well. So any other maybe questions or concerns or anything?
Just a comment.
Yes.
Comment. So I definitely do that. Even on Saturday, I'm up at 6:30 because that's the time I get up to get ready for work, to leave the house. So Saturday and Sunday still, but I'll stay in the bed just so I can get a little, at least extra laying down rest. Also with the meds, like you just have to be careful because some of them can be addicting. So you're trying to take them to sleep more, but now you're addicted to taking them. So just exploring more natural things. I know with my youngest son, Zion, he's like the Energizer bunny. So 8, 9 o'clock, I have to give him melatonin, which is supposed to be a more natural sleep supplement, so he can lay down and just get himself ready for bed.
Good point. Good point. We're all, we're all different. We all have different systems and the way that our bodies work. So finding a way to adapt to it, either through meds or that are recommended or natural or safe, or finding other things that you can do to adapt to your rhythm and your body. Any other comments or questions or concerns? Okay, let's have our final video, next slide, which we call sleep hygiene. And then we'll have a discussion after that.
When my clients come in for treatment for some of their challenges like depression, anxiety, or relational problems, one of the most common associated problems that they have is difficulty sleeping. This shows up as either having a hard time falling asleep, staying asleep, or just feeling tired all the time. Getting enough quality sleep can make your brain function much better, and you'll be better at solving problems and feel more self-control. In this video, we're going to talk about how to train your brain to sleep well, and it's called sleep hygiene. Hi everyone, Emma McAdam here. I'm a licensed therapist, and I just wanted to remind you that I've got in-depth mental health courses on udemy.com. Right now they're on sale for $9.99, so check out the link in the description. Okay, back to sleep hygiene. So sleep is essential for good mental health. Lack of sleep can actually cause mental illness. Research is showing that one of the most effective ways to treat depression is by helping people improve the quality and the quantity of their sleep. One study of people with depression found that after resolving their insomnia, 87% of them experienced major improvements in their depression. Their depression symptoms disappeared after 8 weeks of good sleep. So, how do we improve our ability to get sleep? We can train our brain to sleep better. Sleep hygiene means going through a routine that trains your brain and body to know when to sleep. So, like a muscle that strengthens with practice, sleeping well is a skill we can develop. Okay, so because you're trying to trigger the autonomic nervous system to start your sleep cycle, it's really important to use a routine. If you've ever tried to get a toddler to fall asleep, you know how important it is to stick to a routine. Adults aren't too different. Remember, our minds, like Pavlov's dogs, they learn to associate sights, smells, and activities with these reflexive responses that are usually outside of our direct control. We can't force ourselves to sleep, but we can train our brain to know when to sleep. So, start by creating a wind-down routine before bedtime that the brain associates with sleeping. To do this, you want to keep a consistent schedule whenever possible, so try to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day. Dim the lights, cool the temperature, and decrease your stimulation. So, for example, do quiet activities like reading a book or taking a bath because these help trigger calm. Don't watch TV or exercise right before bed. Another thing you can do is have a routine for right before bed. So, for example, in the evening you do a snack and you change into pajamas, then you brush teeth and get into bed, read a book, pray, and go to sleep. In addition to a routine, there are some things you can do during the day that are going to improve your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Limit your naps during the day to less than 30 minutes. Cut out screen time before bed. So not only are devices like phones and tablets and TVs very stimulating, and this triggers the alerting system in the brain, but also the tone of the light emanated from your screen tends to have a bluish tint to it. And this is similar to the bluish light in the mornings. So again, this is a biological trigger to wake up. Research shows that blue-toned lights tend to trigger alertness, and red or yellow-toned lights tend to trigger calmness. So if you must use your phone or tablet before bed, check to see if it has a night shift setting. This will shift your screen colors toward the red and yellow range. Next, turn your screen brightness down as low as possible. And use the night setting for reading. And this makes it so your text appears as white letters on a black background. So many programs have this option in their settings. Also, put your phone on Do Not Disturb mode while you're sleeping. And don't check your work emails right before bed, or read anything that could be stressful, like the news or even your Facebook feed. Another thing you want to do is take a look at your caffeine use. Avoid caffeine for at least 4 to 6 hours before bedtime. Even 1 cup of coffee or tea, even early in the morning, that can affect your sleep for up to 48 hours. So if you're not sure of how caffeine is impacting you, you could try going off caffeine for 1 week. The first couple of days, you might feel more tired, and by day 4, you'll probably start feeling better. You'll have better sleep, you'll have better energy and be more focused, and you'll most likely be waking up less at night, and you'll find it easier to fall asleep. Within 1 week, most people say, I feel better off caffeine than on caffeine. They report better energy, better mood, and better sleep. Another thing you want to think about is limiting alcohol use. While some people believe that alcohol helps them sleep, and it might help people fall asleep, alcohol interferes with your brain's ability to sleep well and repair itself, especially during the second half of the night. So that leaves you feeling more exhausted later. Another thing to think about is to avoid rich, heavy, or fatty foods before bedtime. Anything that might cause heartburn or indigestion can interfere with sleep, but so can hunger. So you could try a snack like a banana and peanut butter before bed. A warm glass of milk before bed has also been shown in clinical studies to be as effective as many sleep medications, but a lot of people just don't like the idea of drinking warm milk. You may want to try it. Exercise during the day can also greatly improve your ability to sleep, so even 10 minutes of exercise can make a difference. Also, light and sound can trigger alertness, so use earplugs, blackout curtains, or eye masks to help cut out that extra stimuli. Another thing you can try is a relaxation routine or meditation before bed. This is something like progressive muscle relaxation. You could check out the video I made on that, or you could listen to a guided imagery exercise. And again, as you're trying to create associations for your brain to trigger that sleep response, you want to only use your bed for sleeping and sex. If your brain associates your bed with watching TV or working on your laptop, eating, paying bills, and etc., your brain is going to associate your bed with alertness, not sleep. If you're having a very hard time falling asleep or falling back asleep, try getting up, get out of bed, and do something really boring, like listening to a boring audiobook or a dull documentary. Don't do anything too stimulating. When I'm having a hard time sleeping, I like to listen to this show called Time Team, where a bunch of British archaeologists try and dig to find, history. But it's a pretty slow show, and it helps me fall asleep. Okay, I hope you found these tips helpful, and if you liked this video, check out my other video called Insomnia Antidote, where I teach one way to turn off worry and fall asleep. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Okie dokie. Improve quality and quantity of sleep. Practice good sleep hygiene. And this is an individual thing. It's, what may be good for you may not be good for me. So, your body, and I know my body. So these are tips, and there may be some things that may work for you, they may not work for you. Practice good hygiene, practice meditation. Now, I know for myself personally, before I turn, my sleep hygiene starts about 7:00 p.m. On nights like this, where I'm out up after 7, I usually take a power nap during the day, so that when I stay up past my bedtime, when the Sandman comes, I'm able to still remain alert and do what I have to do, whether it's a presentation or a meeting or whatever. But what I do, I start at 7 p.m. and then that's my shutdown. I'm going at a slower pace. And what I will do is I have a podcast that I listen to just about every single night. And I've been listening to it for years, though. Charles Stanley, one of the pastors out of Atlanta. I'll just play that. And it's only maybe I would say maybe 15 minutes that I'll play that. And that's how I go to sleep. That's what I have decided to do. And it's usually the last thing that's on my mind when I close my eyes. So that's my form of meditation. Anything that somebody else would like to share regarding their sleep hygiene in terms of what they practice for good sleep?
Well, I think, like you said, it's a personal thing, because I can't sleep in a quiet room. I can't sleep when it's real quiet. I have to have that TV on until it goes. And if it goes off, my wife got slick and put it on a timer. So around by 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock, it would go off and it would catch me. And I don't know what she'll hide the remote and all this stuff. Now I'm sitting up and I go in the front room and cut the other TV. I can't sleep in a quiet room or a quiet house. That's just my personal thing, because I sleep off and on. And I think that kind of followed me when I was in the military, because when I was in the field, you never could get sleep. You never could get sleep. You always have to be on alert about stuff. And then as a boy living in the projects, you didn't have a quiet house. You could be in your room and people be having conversations 3 o'clock in the morning out on the porch. So I never created a proper way to adjust my sleeping pattern. So it followed me, and to this day, I can't sleep in no quiet room. I got to have something going on, a TV, even making the noise at the lungs, but they don't do that no more. But it'd be that, they didn't start playing the American anthem and all that. And then I'll probably get up, but I'm off and on all night, but I still be feeling pretty good the next day. That's just me.
That's good. And I touched upon that early on in terms of how the military personnel are trained. You're trained to have one eye open and one eye closed.
That's right.
That's how you train, and you're always vigilant in terms of what's going to happen. So, and if that works for you and you're able to get whatever rest you need, then that works for you. Any other comments?
I was just gonna say, oh, was somebody talking? No.
I'll go after you.
Okay. I was just gonna, hi, Irma.
Hi, Katrina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I was just gonna say, I was listening to the video where she's saying try to avoid naps during the day. And like on the weekend, I'll nap like way too much, and then I'm up and then I can't sleep. And then I got to turn on the TV like Brother Byron and try to let that help me fall asleep. So I probably have to do a better job of keeping myself awake instead of just kind of sleeping a couple of hours on Saturday or Sunday just because I'm tired from the week.
So Irma, was that Irma that wanted to say something?
Yes, it's for so long I had to be at work at 7:30 in the morning. So now that I'm retired, it's still there. I go sleep no later than 10 and I'm awake at 5:30. So I don't have any problems going to sleep, but I don't get sleepy during the day, and I don't need any aids to go to sleep because I'm retired, but not retired, because I wake up every morning no later than 5:35. So, but I do rest. So,
that's the objective, to get what your needed rest, to make sure that you get your needed rest. Any other comments?
Yeah, Sister Rossi, I want to ask you a question. One thing used to bother me, I just don't see how people can stay in the bed 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock on Saturday and stuff like that. I just can't do it. And I ain't home, so I'm gonna be careful how, but I don't see how you can stay in the bed over 9 o'clock. I just don't see that. I'm just saying, how could you lay in the bed all day, a whole day gone, and you just in the bed? How that to me ain't rest. Two things for sure. You can't make up time, and you can't make up rest. Once you miss it, you missed it. Right. You just have to get aboard. That's just like, even this ain't for out neither. That's just like taking medication. If you miss that morning dose, don't try to make it up later on that day. You just take it the next morning. None of this stuff you can't make up, and especially rest. You missed it. You had a long day. You get a couple of maybe 30 minutes a little later, and you going on with the day because you're not gonna make that hour. You can't make time and rest up. That's just me. That's just me.
And like I said, it's an individual thing, and we all know our bodies and what we're capable of doing and how much rest we need. And maybe for someone that works for them. True. That works for them.
I think Dr. Cole had a comment.
Yes, Dr. Cole.
Good evening. I'm just listening. I am so thankful that when I go to bed, I go to sleep and I get my 7 hours uninterrupted sleep.
Wonderful.
And I feel good, and I don't need aid or anything. And once I say my prayers, get in the bed, 5 minutes later, I'm asleep. I get my sleep, and I thank God for that, because I know a lot of women my age, they have to go to the bathroom 2 or 3 days and two or three times a night. But I'm limited on my eating and drinking. Everything is cut off by 6 o'clock. So that I can stay in bed and get my rest.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. And, again, if that works for you, hey, that's a beautiful thing. Beautiful. Any other comments? Okay, says 3, exercise in terms of, and some people may do this, and go to bed, or maybe they'll do it during the day. Again, it's the per individual's choice. Whatever helps you to maintain your healthy body, the rest and what you need, that's what you need to do. Set aside time for winding down, if that's important for most. Set aside that time. If you don't need that, if you can jump in the bed and go to sleep, if that works for you, then that's fine. That is fine. One thing I was thinking about in terms of the overall, this came to my mind, overall universe, in terms of, and in the video, they had mentioned the biological triggers in terms of the light, the daylight. And what came to mind in terms of how God provides for us, in terms of we have the blue sky, the daylight, but as we continue to go through our day, then it goes, we look outside our windows and doors now, we have the darkness in terms of, is this God preparing us for this, from going from that light blue to making that adjustment that they had indicated on the video, turning your screen down to a different setting. Does God turn our screen down to a different setting in our life for the universe? That came to mind for me. Avoid stressful activities before bed in terms of doing heavy work, and it could be housework, it could be yard work, or whatever heavy activities, to more or less to slow that down, that may be stressful. And some individuals may look at a movie or television or the news prior to going to bed or while they're in bed. If that works for you, fine. If not, maybe it's best not to do that. 6, write down your worries on paper. Instead of carrying your worries to bed with you and tossing and turning, you may want to write those down. Leave them on the top of your bureau. And you have to maybe physically go through that. Write them down and leave them there. And if you got to pick them up in the morning. But don't take them to bed with you. Leave them there. 7, avoid lying in bed awake. And they touched upon that in the video. If for some reason you're tossing and you're turning, maybe it's best to get up out of your bed and go do something else. And they had indicated something that is boring, but not to stay in your bed, because the bed, and they've said it on the video, is for sleep and sex. That's what it said on the video.
I know what it said.
Okay. And but not to lie there in the bed tossing and turning. 8, limit your screen time, which we discussed before. Set your environment, maybe a cool environment. But if you're maybe used to sleeping with maybe a room that is hot or at a certain temperature, but just preparing before you jump in bed may be helpful for individuals. 10, getting a bed that fits you. I know they have these, what do they call it? The sleep number beds or smart beds or whatever. If anyone ever heard of those?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like hospital beds with them buttons on them.
Do what?
I say almost like them hospital beds with them buttons on them, what take you up and down and put the right heat on you and all that stuff.
Okay. And if that works for you, it may be something, I know this was years back. I would get up, I would sleep all night, and I would get up so tired and was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? It was my mattress. I needed to get a new mattress. And sometimes too, individuals may want to turn that mattress over. The mattress may be contoured to your body over a period of time. You may want to flip that over or get a new one. Any other comments or suggestions? Okay, and the final thing that's on the list is CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy, which you're trained to think differently and prepare your mind in terms of getting ready for a good night's rest.
What was what that was, number 6 or number 7? What was number 6?
Number 6 is write down your worries on a piece of paper. Don't carry them to bed with you.
What was number 7?
7, avoid lying in bed awake.
Number 8, and that was it.
Limit your screen time.
That's TV?
That's TV, computer, telephone. And again, what works for you?
What works for you? Yeah, cause I ain't got no. I got to have it. I got to have it.
Because you told me that doesn't work for you, so you have to go with your screen. But why
you repeat one more? It was one in there. I'm kind of stuck on it. What the bed is for, though? They said.
I beg you. What is the bed for?
The bedroom.
Roxy, go ahead, Roxy. Roxy, go ahead. Do your next thing.
You're stuck on that. Okay.
Don't do it. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I hope all the viewers heard that.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Marital sex. That's what they need to have said. Marital sex.
I'll just go to 9. It says set your environment. So you can pick that. You can
all right. I'm not home. I'm just making sure everybody on the side.
Are there any other questions?
That's all I got.
One of the comments I was gonna make, Brother Byron. I have like a baby monitor that I used to use with the kids to help them sleep, and they have like wind sound and white noise and ocean sound, so that really helps too.
Yeah, I like the rain. I heard a commercial where they were showing that rain. Now I can go with that rain. I don't need a TV. I think if it rain all night. I love to hear the rain. Now,
but if you get one of those baby sound machines, like it is very relaxing because it has all those different sounds.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
Yeah. I have one of those, and also I guess the rainforest. I mean, it's just thunder and lightning. Whatever turns you on or turns you off. But yeah, good point. Good point. Whatever turns you on or turns you off. So any other comments, questions regarding sleeping well? All right. So I just wanted to pass you, if you could put up the last slide of, I always like to, local references of mental health counselors. I always like to post those for individuals who would like to seek that. We have people local that's able to handle and take care of any needs that you may have. But I would like to close with this in terms of, this was offered by the mental health firstaid.org. Instead of making sweeping, and that's sweeping, not sleeping, New Year's resolutions to achieve overnight, create a few realistic goals that will help you to have long-lasting impact on your mental health and wellness. And the 5 mental tips for 2023 are: make time for self-care, be kind to yourself, make sleep a priority, and limit your screen time. Learn more about your mental health. And the key is, God wants us to be good stewards of our spirit, our physical bodies, and our mental health. That's all that I have for this evening. And Pastor, you have the final words.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. I think this is a very informative session that we had today. If you know anybody that could use this, if you know some people that are irritable or dealing with some anxiety, that might be the issue. And so share this video, and it might help somebody out. I want to thank everybody for joining us. God bless you, and you have a great one. But remember to follow the tips. And if you can't remember, just go back and look at it to help you get better sleep, because it can affect your health, it can affect your attitude, it can affect your life. God bless you and have a great one.
Good night.
Right.